I'd like to start by thanking Minister Bodnar and the Polish Presidency for the very ambitious agenda in the area of justice that was placed on the Council agenda today. I think it is testament to the Polish Presidency's commitment to strengthening justice, the rule of law and fundamental rights in the EU, and I want to thank them for this commitment again. I'll begin by saying a quick word on the proposal for a directive harmonising certain aspects of insolvency law, and Adam has explained the rather technical issue that was the subject of the discussion today, but a very important issue, and we discussed the pre-pack proceedings by which the business of an insolvent debtor can be sold on a going concern basis, or in other words, as an economic entity continue its operation. And I think we have to remind ourselves the core objective here is that where an insolvency takes place and there is the sale of a business, that it can happen on a going concern basis, because of course the consequence is the closure of that business, the loss of employment, and indeed debts going unpaid. And it's an issue that we think is particularly important, and I hope that we can fulfil the Presidency's ambition to reach a general approach on this proposal by the end of its term. And I and my services in the Commission stand ready to provide further support to the Presidency in fulfilling this ambition. We had a very good discussion on the rule of law, a pillar of democracy in Europe, and I welcome that the Polish Presidency put this on the agenda for discussion over lunch today. The judiciary has a crucial role in ensuring that democratic values are protected in every member state. Democracy is a fundamental European value with free and fair elections and democratic checks and balances at its core. And I took the opportunity today to update colleagues on our work with respect to the development of the European Democracy Shield, which is a horizontal strategic framework which aims to protect and promote democracy by fighting foreign information manipulation, interference and disinformation, ensuring the integrity of elections, strengthening societal resilience and preparedness, and promoting citizens' participation and engagement. It cannot be overstated how essential the rule of law is to a free and plural democracy. As it became clear from our discussion, the organisation of the justice system is of course a competence of the Member States, but when exercising this competence, each and every Member State must comply with their obligations under the EU treaties and indeed the whole body of case law that we have from the Court of Justice of the European Union. And it was a really good discussion. I took the opportunity to update colleagues on the rule of law report process, and that work is now underway for 2025. We are adding the single market dimension to the rule of law report this year, and we are retaining consideration of the 4 enlargement countries that were included in last year's report as well. And I also informed colleagues of the work that Budget Commissioner Serafin and I will be engaged in to give effect to the political guidelines and the request from President von der Leyen to build a closer link between the recommendations of the annual rule of law report and access to EU funds. So that work will now advance in the context of the multiannual financial framework. And I reiterated that when it comes to the rule of law toolbox, compliance with rule of law is not optional, it's not discretionary, it's not an à la carte scenario. Compliance with rule of law is a requirement of EU membership. We have a set of tools which were developed over recent years and which we stand ready to use. My first preference, as always, is dialogue and engagement with Member States where rule of law challenges arise. We also spoke about the war in Ukraine. Tragically now in its 4th year, and the fight against impunity, and Russia must be held accountable for the international crimes that it commits in and against Ukraine. The Commission remains committed to all initiatives aimed at reaching this goal. We will continue, together with all like-minded partners, to advance justice for Ukraine and its people. And here, Eurojust plays a vital role. It enables judicial cooperation for investigations into core international crimes, and we must continue to support Eurojust. It's a priority of this Commission that the EU participates in the Claims Commission, which will adjudicate the claims that will be submitted to the Register of Damage for Ukraine and determine the value of each claim. We also spoke about the Schuman draft statute, where significant progress was made here in Brussels last month, and which is the core legal text that will govern the Special Tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine. We need to ensure that pending issues are solved so that we can take what would be a historic step in the creation of this special tribunal. Upholding a rules-based international order and restoring justice in and for Ukraine are interlinked. Both are fundamental to ensuring that Ukraine can achieve peace through strength. But peace will only be possible once the Russian Federation ceases its illegal, unprovoked and unjustified aggression. The implementation and enforcement of sanctions is about depriving the Russian war machine of the resources it needs to conduct this war of aggression. This means that the implementation of sanctions and the enforcement of sanctions is about protecting the sovereignty of and the lives of the people of Ukraine. And that is why I reminded the Council today of the urgency and the importance of the swift and the complete transposition of the directive on the criminalisation of the violation of Union restrictive measures. Let us not forget that depriving the Russian Federation of its means to conduct this war of aggression is also about working to bring this aggressive war to an end. To say a quick word on the application of the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights, which will celebrate its 25th anniversary this year. I welcomed the Council conclusions on funding to promote, protect and enforce fundamental rights across the EU, which followed the Commission's 2024 Charter report. Both those Council conclusions and indeed the Charter report highlighted the importance of continuously funding all actors who have a role in the practical application of fundamental rights throughout our Union. The Commission is now initiating preparations for the 2025 Charter report, which will look into the first 5 years of the application of the Charter strategy and will be a good opportunity to evaluate what additional measures are needed. The Presidency also provided a state of play on the Council's initiative to strengthen judicial cooperation in the fight against organised crime. Our aim remains to better coordinate how we can prioritise certain actions that have operational benefit for combating international organised crime groups. By doing so, we will also strengthen the internal security of the European Union. We will continue to assess the different measures that we can take to enhance cooperation and welcome the next steps offered by the Presidency today. So thank you for the opportunity to deliver some opening remarks.
Thank you, Commissioner.